Hey, SSIC, Nick back here for another podcast for the REI RockStar podcast. I got my buddy Craig Smith on the phone. How are you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome, man. The REI RockStar podcast is where we talk about any and all things real estate investing, specifically here in St. Louis, Missouri. We got a couple show sponsors that really help us out. That is the Michael Sewell at the Sewell Law Firm, Lawrence Hopkins with Longhorn Financial, Rebecca Meyer with Insight Title, and the boys over at Graphic Connections for all of your direct mail needs. Really appreciate their support in helping us get this podcast out to the masses. And we could not do it without them. So Craig, I wanted to get you on a podcast because you've had a lot of involvement in real estate over the last 5 years. And you have a lot of experience, and you also have a lot of involvement in the club. You do a lot of things in front of and behind the cameras, so to speak, at Southside. And you have coined something that I think is genius, which is you call yourself the 5-year overnight success.
Yeah, it's tough because everybody looks at what you got going on right now and where you're at this specific time, but they don't ever really think about the fact that it wasn't overnight. Like, I didn't just start doing this. I quit my full-time job 5 years ago and got into real estate and started doing real estate full-time. But, I mean, prior to that, I was doing it part-time for probably another 5 or 6 years. So it takes a little bit. I mean, everybody expects to come in and just rock it out right away, but in reality, for most people, that's not how it works. So just everybody looks at where you are right now and they think, man, I want to be there and I want to get there right now, because that's the way we are as Americans typically, is we're impatient. We want everything right now, but understand you're probably going to put a little bit of grind in before you really truly get where you want to be. And truth be told, I'm not. We're never settled, right? We're never really truly where we want to be. We always want to keep pushing and want to be doing more.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, there's so many things to dissect from that. Okay, you recognize that you're not where you want to be, so you're still going, right? I mean, you're on your path and you're on your way to being there. Same with me. I mean, I'm not really where I want to be, but I know I'm on that path to getting there. But the grind of getting to where you are right now is what got you there, and you're still continuing the grind is the thing. Like, it's not easy street. You're not kicking your feet up on the desk, smoking cigars, saying, hey, look at all this money coming in. It's easy.
No, not yet. I mean, hopefully eventually we'll get there, but I have a partner that I do this with, and we talk all the time. It's like, I don't know that we'd ever really fully quit. We just hope that we would get to a point where, it's just easier, and we're really doing it because we want to do it, not because we have to get that paycheck to come in. So you've got enough rentals set up and all that cash flow is rolling in, and now you're only out rehabbing houses and wholesaling and doing it because it's really what you want to do to fill your time in between your travels and everything else that you want to do. But we really enjoy it. We really love real estate, and we love what we're doing. I don't think that we'd be able to work as hard and do as much as we do if we didn't love what we're doing. So, yeah, I mean, you're constantly grinding. You do take time off. I mean, I just got back from 3 days in Moab, Utah with some friends. You do need a little bit of time to get out and recharge and remind yourself why you're doing it. But yeah, I landed at 2:45 in the morning on Sunday night and was up at 7 a.m. because I had 3 closings on Tuesday that I had to get ready for. So it was all hands on deck, and then we had Inner Circle Monday night, so I went on 3 hours of sleep the entire day until about 10:30. But I do it because I love what I'm doing and because it's totally worth it.
Right. It's not that I'm clocking in and clocking out. It's not that I'm, I gotta go in and do this. I mean, sometimes what we do feels like, oh crap, do I really have to do this? But for the most part, hey, I got to get this done for this to happen, so that this can happen, so that this can happen. So I'm all in. Let's go. Let's get it done. Right? Yeah.
In order to be successful in this business, you absolutely have to be a self-motivated and a self-starter, and really wake up every morning knowing that there's stuff to be done if you want to get to that next level and you want to keep doing this and make a legitimate career out of it and become a full-time real estate investor and be able to pay all of your bills, like you wake up every day excited knowing that there's more that you can go out and you can do. There's more houses to buy. There's more projects to go out and rehab. There's people looking for that next wholesale deal that you're going to take down and flip off and sell for 15 or 20K more than you bought it. So that's what keeps you going.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to kind of still unpack the statement of 5-year overnight success. I mean, you were in this business for 5 or so years, 5, 6, 7 years part-time, right? Before you really made the leap to part-time. So you were doing what I think a lot of people are trying to do, and when they get started is, hey, I think I could be really good at this real estate thing. I know certain aspects of just running a business in general. I know certain aspects maybe of real estate or costs or something. And I'm going to do a couple houses because why not, right? I've got a couple bucks. I want to do this. I want to get out there and do it. And so you spent, several years doing it part-time, building up to the point where you could get to the point where you could go full-time. Talk to me about like those 5 years of doing it part-time. What was that like? And was your mindset any different then versus now, or what was going on?
At the very beginning, my partner and I's partnership kind of started like every good partnership does, and that's over drinking beers one evening. I was in construction, commercial project management. He was an agent at the time, and it's like, hey, we should go flip a house. He saw what was going on in real estate. I knew the construction side, so we did. One came available right down the street from him, and an owner had passed away, and it was a probate house, and we went down and made an offer on it and picked it up, and that was our first rehab. So, and then from there, it was just, okay, we get done with one, you go find another, and then one becomes a rehab, and then one's a rental, and you just slowly kind of build up that way. All the meanwhile, myself growing a little more frustrated with the job that I was in, not because it was a bad job, just because I knew that it's not what I wanted to do anymore. And I started planning my exit path and figuring out how to get out of that full-time job and make sure that I can make a living in real estate. And, I've talked about it before, when I looked at leaving my job, there were 3 things that I had to cover, and those 3 things were my salary, the 401k, so the retirement planning that I had with my career that I was in, and then also the bonuses. And the way that I did that and the way that I got comfortable with jumping ship and doing this full time was I realized, well, okay, I can meet those needs within real estate because if I do rehabs and sell them, that'll be my salary. And then if I need future money, so 401k money, well, that's going to come from my rental properties that we buy and hold and put renters in unless those appreciate and get paid down. And then the bonus side was just wholesales and anything else, listings or coaching or anything else that I can do to make money within real estate, which is the options are limitless. You just got to figure out what you want to focus on. So that's how I approached it very methodically and kind of helped wrap my head around a way to make it sense for myself, so that I had that comfort level whenever I jumped ship to know that I was going to be able to make it work.
And so then you're at the point where I'm going full time. What were some of the things like maybe scary, or what were some of the things you're thinking like, hey, I'm about ready to go full time, or I'm going full time this week. I put my 2 weeks in at my job. I'm done. Like, what were some of the thoughts going through your head? Like, is this the best move? Am I crazy? Or I got no kids and no wife. Now or never.
Yeah, it was really just kind of a fear of the unknown. Am I actually going to be able to find enough properties and be able to rehab them fast enough and get enough done to be able to meet the income that I wanted? So that was part of it. And, a good portion of it whenever I decided to jump ship was, okay, let's find a couple of rehabs that we can actually take down and own and be working on just prior to me leaving, which we were able to do. So we had a couple houses in the hopper that I knew that were then on the horizon that there was going to be some income coming in. And then shortly thereafter, kind of almost immediately, it was, I know that I'm not going to be able to find enough houses just out off of the MLS. It wasn't true then 5 years ago, And it's certainly not true now with as competitive as the market is and as low an inventory as there is right now. So I need to find out where people are buying these discounted properties. And for me, that's when I started coming around Southside Investment Club, and then I found out about Inner Circle, and I was like, okay, well, if these guys are all buying discounted properties and some of them want to wholesale them off, well, I need to be around those guys. I need to be the guy that those people think of whenever they find a house in Afton or Crestwood or Brentwood or any of the areas that we buy in. So basically, I was like a Russian spy, just in there infiltrating and letting everybody know, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is where we're at, this is what I buy, and just constantly reminding them and following up with them, like networking. And we've built a really good business off of just networking with everybody around us. We call it our SOI, our sphere of influence, but there shouldn't be anybody that we know that doesn't know that we buy houses. And that's how we've bought a lot of our deals. So I kind of ran off on a tangent there, but that was one of the biggest fears that I had. Am I going to be able to find the houses and keep the inventory coming into myself, that workflow that I need to be able to support my business? And we absolutely have, obviously, 5 years later, and we're just continually honing new methods and new ways to find properties and really focusing on what that highest and best use is for that property and what our exit options are going to be, and really trying to nail down as many of those as we can and make the most out of every deal that crosses our desk.
So yeah, okay. So you said a couple things there. Like right when you went full time, you started doing research. Like, hey, what are other people doing in St. Louis? You started going to some clubs. You found out Southside Investment Club. You found out Inner Circle, and that was something that you wanted to plug into right away and say, hey, listen, I just went full time. Sure. I got to be around these people that are other wholesalers or other rehabbers. I got to network in with these folks, and I got to learn some of these techniques of finding these houses by myself. And yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff at Inner Circle on how to find off-market non-MLS deals, because let's be honest, the closer you get to the homeowner with no middleman, the better the deal becomes, period, right? And so we have to self-generate leads and things like that. But your take on it has been pretty interesting, and that is telling everyone that you know that you buy houses. I mean, your marketing budget is sick. It's a fraction of what other people's are, but you've been really good at plugging in and connecting in with folks and actually helping wholesalers get deals where there wasn't deals there before because they didn't know how to accurately determine what the repair value was and how much things are really going to cost.
I mean, you've got to bring value to every relationship that you have. Otherwise, it's going to die, right? So I can't just be a guy who buys houses from everybody. If I really want those guys to be calling me and those guys being wholesalers, I need to be able to give something back to them. Otherwise, they're just going to go to that next guy who's going to pay more. So I want to be there as kind of a resource when they have a deal that's tricky or a deal that's kind of out there, has a little more hair on it. They think, well, we're going to call Craig because he knows how to rehab something like this, or he's probably seen that or come across it, or maybe he has a better plan for it, or maybe it's just he knows that area better than somebody else would. So I try to be that guy, even if it's a house that we're not going to buy. I'll still have people call me and say, hey, what do you think about this area, whether it's an Oakville or an Afton or a Brentwood? What can we do with this? What do you think about it? And I'll take a quick look at it, and within 15 minutes, we'll know pretty quickly kind of what the rough numbers are going to be and say, hey, here's what we think. Here's what we see for ARV. This is roughly what I think you would need to spend on it to get it there, and this is what I would need to buy it. So know that if you buy it just below that price, you're going to have a buyer, like, so they can go in and write that offer comfortably and come out with a buyer on the back end, whether it's me or whether it's somebody else. They know they're going to be able to move that property.
Yeah, and that's really been a big secret to your success. And I don't know too many people that have taken that approach as well as you have, doing it that way. And it's really at the same, it makes so much sense when you think about it, because if a wholesaler brings me a deal and I say, no, it's too much, well, that's not going to work, right? Hey, maybe it is too much, but here's why. And, depending upon what you have it under contract for, let me go out and take a look at the house. We still might be able to make a deal. Let's take a look at it a little bit more in depth and see what we can do,
Yep.
And it's not, you can't do that at every house, but if you're adding value, like you say, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, and and if I want to make as many, but basically bird dogs as I can. Now these guys are wholesalers to sell me properties, but the more I can educate them on what I want, and the closer our relationship gets, the more likely they are to call me with that next deal when it comes across their desk.
Right.
So ultimately, that was my goal. And it always changes. There's guys that I used to buy a lot from who I don't buy as much from now because they've gotten way better at wholesaling and they've found other buyers that pay a bit more than I do. But when certain deals come across their desk that don't make sense for anybody else, I still get that phone call. Yep. Or if they walk into one and they know that it's an area that I'm really hot and heavy for, I'm going to get that phone call and they know to call me because I can make it easy. And they don't have any questions. It's never a doubt in their mind whether or not we're going to close on it. So the relationship is key. Making sure that everybody makes money and making sure that everybody's taken care of.
Absolutely. So how important was, okay, so when you go full time and you're nervous, you're scared, and you're like, hey, I just found this really cool club. They got, seems to like, they've got, they're plugged into a lot of the people in St. Louis that are doing a lot of business. They got this coaching program, this high level kind of like mastery class. I got to be a part of it. How important was like the local aspect of it to you?
That it was extremely important, and it was extremely important solely for the fact that real estate is a people business, right? You will not, I'm not going to say you can't get to where you want to be by being a solopreneur and kind of putting your blinders in and being a secret agent and not having anybody know what you do, but it is so much easier, infinitely easier if you have a good group of people around you that you can network with and that you can learn from and that you can share resources with. So that was immensely helpful for our business when we got started. Just having that group to go back to and to tie into and say, hey, here's what we're up against, or here's the properties that we're looking for, whatever it may be, and network with those people, probably helped our business tenfold, I would say, at least. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how we could have done our business without that group helping us out at the beginning.
Interesting. And I get that a lot from some of our members, or from most of our members, is because you're going to run across something that you've just never seen before. Like, holy smokes, right. What do I do here? Or is this a deal? Or, man, I'm having a hard time finding comps. Or how do I fix that? How much does this cost? This title company said that there's some weird stuff on title. What do I do? You know, this lender's saying this. There's just so many situations that come up. And if plugged into a group like this, I've either gone through that or someone else has gone through that. Somebody in that group has gone through that, and we can say, hey, listen, this is how you beat this, or you got a really good opportunity in your hands. This is what you should do. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just to have that sounding board and people that you can ask questions to who you trust, who have already been through it. It's hard to put a dollar value on that. For sure. And especially the fact that not only have they done it before, they're doing it in your area, in your backyard, with the 80 plus municipalities that we have. Everybody knows the different areas, so there's not a lot of stuff that comes across our desk that we can't handle and can't get a question answered for. So that comfort level alone is massive. Knowing that you've got somebody in your back pocket that if you don't have the answer, which chances are you're not going to have the answer to everything for sure, you can go to those people and say, hey, this is what I'm up against. This is what I've come across. What do you guys think? Like, what should I do here? That's a massive bonus.
Well, and I like to say this, and I'm not trying to say this to discourage anyone that might be thinking about buying their first place or getting started in the business, but sometimes there's days where it feels like someone puts a knife in your back. They twist it, they pour salt in the wound, lemon juice, they put their thumb in it or their finger, and, they spit on it. I mean, sometimes you got some dark days in this business, right? It just seems like everything's collapsing.
Yep.
Most days are good, but every once in a while something like that happens and you feel like, oh my gosh. And I can't imagine, honestly, myself, I run the place, but there's times when I needed to have a group of my peers there and say, guys, I ran into this. What do I do here? Help me out, because I'm kind of perplexed. I'm baffled, right? It's really powerful to be able to plug into that.
We all have those days, and not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows, right? You're going to have tough days that are going to create challenges for you. And it's, do you have that team and that support and that willpower to push through that challenge? That's what's going to make the difference on whether you make it or not in this business. Do you have the perseverance to keep going and pushing on, and that sounding board of those people that you can go to for answers when things get tough? And if for no other reason than to just ease your mind and help you settle in on a decision and make a decision and move forward. So many times people will come across a challenge, and the immediate response for anybody when you hit a challenge is to hit the brakes, right? To stop, to lock up. Well, that's probably the right decision for the first 30 seconds, minute, maybe even 24 hours. But after that, you need to be figuring out how to get past that challenge and move on and get that house sold or that tent placed so that you can focus on other things and make more money. So don't let those challenges, or don't give yourself a reason to let those challenges just stop you dead in your tracks.
Right. Well, and a lot of those challenges come from working with contractors, and, you know, some people understand how to do it and some people don't. And I've pretty much over the years been really blessed to work with some really good folks. Like, you know, that they mean well, that they really try. Maybe the execution wasn't exactly there, but we're going to go back and fix it. I mean, you know, I've had some really good folks. I've had a couple run-ins with people that I'm just not going to do business ever again with. But you actually, you know, through the course of, over the past 5 years, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but, you know, a couple of years ago, I came to you and said, hey, I know you've been an Inner Circle member for a while, but you're an unbelievable rehabber and you've got a gift for it. You need to share and teach others. Would you want to step up and be a coach? And you said, yeah. And so we've talked about it for a long time and finally came to a realization. You developed a project binder that really helps folks manage a renovation project from start to finish. And that was something that you contributed to the group and what you were able to provide, which is awesome, to solve that problem of how do I work with contractors, right? Because it's a problem over and over and over that we were seeing, and this really can help get over that. You know, I thanked you for helping develop that, but that's one of the things that we try to do at Inner Circle is, hey, here's a problem. How do we help other people solve that problem? And that was one of your contributions that you brought to the group.
Yeah, I mean, you get so far along in the business and you realize some success, and at some point you want to start giving back, and that just so happens that construction is my expertise, it's my background, it's my passion, it's where I've always been. Mm-hmm. So what I found from coaching other individuals is that they obviously don't have the background and the knowledge that I do and the experience. So how can we close that gap, and how can we speed it up? Well, quickly, yeah. The problem isn't that most people don't know what they want. They do know what they want that house to look like. The problem is that they can't communicate what they want the house to look like to the guys that are going to be doing the work. And for me, it's natural. We've always had a system coming up from my earliest days in construction, which is you create your scopes, you put together your drawings, you get some samples together, you show them effectively what you want to have done. And then that way they know what to bid. They have a clear expectation of what you want on the back end, and you get the product that you want once you get to the end. So it was more or less just taking the system that I've already created, that I've been using throughout my career, and putting it into a format that worked for the masses. So all of the folks within Inner Circle, that they could just pick up and basically implement within their business. It's kind of a plug-and-play system. It's already preloaded with all the scopes that you're going to come across. It's preloaded with all of the subcontractors and vendors that we have within the club, and then also all the finishes and the stuff that I use on our rehabs that we have found that everybody out there who's buying houses that want to live in it, that they really like. So it's taking a lot of the thought and a lot of the effort out of it and helping close those gaps, helping close that scope gap from subcontractor to subcontractor, and speed up that investor's time so that they can get in do more rehab, do them more efficiently, have less holes and less surprises on their jobs, and really just make it a more enjoyable and methodical process.
Yeah, actually, hey, how do we make this house look beautiful again and not stress out about it nearly as much? Because let's be honest, there's still a little bit of stress when when you're doing $120,000 worth of construction. But yeah, that's an awesome contribution, and we've had a ton of contributions from other members that, hey, we didn't even think we needed something like this, but yeah, and other members have been able to go out and use it and benefit from that. And I think that's actually, it was one of the questions, what's like the coolest thing about being an Inner Circle member? And for me, it's the people, right? The people that roll up their sleeves and they want to get to work. They made an investment to be a part of what we're doing, and they want to achieve success, and they're going to link up with us and make that happen. So for me, the coolest part about, we've got a really, really good group of people that want this, that are willing to go out and do whatever it takes to make something. It's kind of like if you want something that you've never had before, you have to do something you've never done, and they'd rather do it with us. And so I really like the people that come in. What's like the, and it could be the same thing for you, but what really stands out about what we do that you like the most?
The club is really about the people, right? So I think, especially when it comes to Inner Circle, we do a very good job of, and you do a very good job of finding the right people who are going to be the right fit within the group, because we have to surround ourselves with motivated, like-minded people who are going to be contributors. Yeah, they're there to learn, and they're there to get stuff and take away and implement in their business, but we don't want everybody to come in and just be a sponge or be a leech on the system. Like, at some point after you move through this, and most everybody we have has done this, is bring something to the table to give back. And we do that at our Inner Circle meetings, and our Monday night meetings specifically is, hey, what's working for you? Have you found a good subcontractor that you want to share their information with because they did a bang-up job and they had a good price? Or do you have a marketing niche or some certain letter or some certain tactic that's going to help us all find more deals? And pretty much everybody within the group is very, very giving. We don't have any secrets. We're all sharing what's working. We're all there to support each other. So absolutely, people first. It's hard to find a better group than what we have within Inner Circle, especially in the St. Louis area. I can't think of any other group that does a better job of that.
Well, yeah, thank you. That's we have worked really hard, and I think especially in real estate, there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of people that did a deal 20 years ago, and they're out there saying, hey, you should follow me and buy this and do this because this is, and they might be teaching outdated stuff, or they might be not be teaching local stuff. But I can't think of anyone who's assembled a better group of individuals that are local here that really want to do this than we have. We've done a really good job of attracting folks that are like you, that just like, they're going to be 5-year overnight successes. They're willing to put in the work, and they're willing to do it. They realize that this isn't a get-rich-quick program or industry, but that there's no glass ceiling either. You can make a tremendous amount of money if you're willing to put in the work. So,
to your point, we and you go in and we let everybody know, like, this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is going to take work. It's going to take effort, but it's entirely worth it. And it is the fastest path in my mind, for sure, and I know for yours, to get to that point of financial freedom and working on your own and doing what you want to do. So if you're willing to put the work in and you're willing to do what guys like you and myself and others in the group tell you need to be done, then there's no reason why you wouldn't see success working with us.
So let's talk about the success that you have had since the 5 years of hanging around Southside in the Inner Circle. You went full-time right about the same time you linked up with us, and then just started going nuts and working your tail off to make it happen. Talk to me about how many houses that you'll do in a year, approximate revenues that you might be getting, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so what I would say first of all, for anyone out there, is it doesn't take a lot of houses to do really well in real estate, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can go out in a
Good
year
point.
and
Yeah.
do even just 3 or 4 houses that you're rehabbing and you make 30 or 40 grand a piece, and that's a really good year, right? I mean, you're talking an average salary for in the United States of what, maybe 50, maybe mid 50s. So you could do that easily with just 2 rehabs. So it doesn't take a ton of rehabs to get to where you want to be. But you know what we really preach on is be a well-rounded investor. Don't just go out and wholesale. Don't just go out and rehab. Try to implement at some point in time all 3 of the processes that we teach, which is wholesale, rehab, and buy and hold, so that you're well-rounded, so that you have that good background, that money in your pocket from cash flow, and then rehabs, and then wholesale's going out the door. But for ourselves, for our business, what we like to do, what we shoot for is we like to add five rentals to our portfolio per year. So that's typically what we're shooting for. And then we want to do about another 5 or 6 rehabs per year. And those are generally anywhere in the realm of $30,000 to $40,000 profit on the low end, all the way up to $80,000 or $100,000, depending on the size of it, kind of like the 2-family conversion we just did down in Tower Grove South. Those tend to be a little bit longer projects and much larger scope, but they need to be if we're going to be going after those higher numbers. So we'll do that, and then we'll wholesale off anywhere from 5 to 10, maybe 15 houses a year, depending on how hard we're hitting it. But we're really shooting on our wholesales for about 10 to 15 grand a year. They might go up, or 10 to 15 grand per house, and they might go up a little bit higher if we're going to wholesale it. So if we take it down, clean it out, and just list it and sell it. So those tend to be our metrics. That's what we shoot for, my partner and I. Now occasionally we do list houses. My partner still has his license. He's doing a pretty good amount of business just as an agent. And I do a bit on my end as well, but I don't search it out quite as often as he does. So from a business standpoint, that's really where we're at and what we look like and how we operate.
So you're anywhere from 18 to 25 houses, somewhere around that, like 20 to maybe mid 20 amount of houses. You're not going out there and doing 300 homes a year or trying to get 1,000 homes a year. I mean, you've got a very
that's not the intent.
Right.
And that's not what we're targeting. We're more of a low overhead, consistent growth, I don't want to say super conservative, but we are a little on the more conservative side to make sure that we're not making any mistakes that are going to cost us a lot of money and erode kind of the traction and where we've gained so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, depending on what your goals and your aspirations are, you don't need to do 100 deals, 200 deals a year to make good money. A lot of times if you get up to that 100 deal mark per year, even 50 deal mark per year, you've got a lot of overhead. To get that many houses, you're spending a lot on marketing. You're spending a lot on different people on your team, from administrative to maybe procurement. So guys out there making offers and looking at houses, and even disposition. Not to say that you can't go there, and if that's what you want to do, by all means do it. That's just not the path that my partner and I have chosen for ourselves.
Right. And I'm not knocking that, and I'm not knocking what you are. I was just recognizing that what you have is incredible revenues for a small family-run company like what you guys run, a partnership company. You've got great revenues off of just maybe 18 to 20 houses, right? And while that is just 18 to 20, that's a lot of houses, right? But
that's a fair amount.
But you've chosen to stay small like that. And right. for because when you start, if you want to try to get to 50 houses, well, you got a whole new set of challenges. You want to try to get to 150 houses a year, you got a whole new set of challenges, a lot more overhead, a lot more things, and certainly don't start out there. You could potentially maybe grow it to that sometime if your goals and your aspirations change. But you have built out and carved out a very comfortable niche, and a very comfortable lifestyle, and a very thoughtful plan off of 15 to 20 homes a year, that's providing you and your partner what you need to be able to do out of this. It's really it's phenomenal what you've been able to do. It's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of hard work, but it's been fun. We really enjoy it. We're consistently pushing and looking and figuring out what's the best way to do our deals, how can we more effectively manage our construction on the rehab side, and always how can we find better deals and what can we do to I guess, put more money in the back pocket, or just to get more time back on our end so that we're not working quite as hard. But yeah, I mean, we're consistently pushing and consistently looking for more efficiencies and figuring out where we want to take it. And for right now, I think we're kind of approaching one of those potential peaks, and I don't want to put in a lot of effort and a lot of money to accelerate that overhead, knowing that there's a chance we might be slowing down at the market and I may need to shift my business a little bit. So it's going to be much easier for both of us to shift our business and make changes if we don't have a lot of overhead and a lot of team in place. Not to say that it can't be done. It certainly can be done. But that's a little bit beyond our risk tolerance where we're at right now.
Right. Yeah, and I guess maybe one of the last things here is, the market is. I mean, it seems like I'm having this conversation on almost a daily basis with people, because people call me, Nick, what's going to happen with the market this year? I'm like, I don't know, I don't got the crystal ball. But from what I can tell, I mean, this is first week of May basically is when we're doing this podcast. We're down in sales for the year, absolutely. But the thing is we're even further down in inventory. So there's just less homes to sell than there was a year ago. And I think that's the main reason why interest rates are still really good. There's still a lot of demand. There's probably just as much demand as there was last year. There's just less homes to buy. So I think that's the main reason.
About right.
Yeah,
I mean, for us, if I had to pick a date, I would say I'm comfortable through July. And after July, we'll reassess, and I'll probably say, okay, I'm comfortable to October. Mm-hmm. But 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said, okay, I'm comfortable throughout the next year. We just don't know. It doesn't mean we're going to stop buying and we're going to stop doing what we're doing, because we can't. We've got to put food on the table. We got to keep making money. We're a little more conservative in our approach, and we really try to make sure we know what we're getting into when we buy a house. We're not just doing it and buying just to buy. So, but that said, I don't think we're going to have anything that's nearly like what we had 07, 08, 09. But there will be a market correction and things will change. The only thing that we know is that change will come. We just don't know what that change will be. So we'll just keep an eye on it. And hopefully we put ourselves in a position where we can really take advantage of that change. If it gets really tight and people start bailing out because real estate was the hot thing to do for the past 2, 3, 4 years as things were raising up. Well, if people start exiting real estate, which they might, anytime you have a little bit of downturn, the fair weather fans are going to go away to some extent. Well, that creates more opportunities for guys like you and I who are in it for the long haul. So I'm looking forward to those days again when it's easier to find houses and to find deals for sure. But I just want to make sure that I'm in a position, and my partner and I are in a position to actually take advantage of that and buy deals. So we're just being a little more conservative right now as things progress. Yep.
Have you ever read the book Who Moved My Cheese?
I haven't read that one yet, but I know I get the gist of it.
Yeah,
sure.
I
think
I can't
constantly. So
I feel like at some points in my career, I've been doing this for 20 years. I mean, it seems like it changed every 6 months sometimes, and certainly from early on in 2003, I was just doing my thing. I was making things happen, and then it got a lot more competitive because the market started doing really well. And I finally got it adjusted and everything. And okay, now it's 2007, and then you can't, sell a house to sell your life, and you do a bunch of short sales to do business and everything. And then just when you get that figured out, this fell off, and this, oh my gosh! And I've had to reinvent myself multiple times over the years, and I know a lot of people that have.
You'll need to do it again in the future. I mean,
absolutely,
like I said, the only thing that's consistent is change. And those who are able to adapt and figure out what they need to change and what they need to do to be successful are the ones that are going to make it. So understand that something's going to change. We don't know what it's going to be, but be in a position where you're flexible and where you can identify where that's going so that you can take advantage of it.
Yeah, and it's nice to be in that situation where, hey, I'm expecting it. I know something, and especially right now this year, that's one of the things that almost every meeting, every time we have a webinar, every time we do something, or live events or whatever it is, we're talking about the market, because what are you guys seeing out there? Here's what the numbers are. You know, let's really take a look at this so that we can not be caught with our pants down like a lot of people were in 2007, 2008, and at the same time, make sure that we're in a position to pounce and take advantage of that, because that's going to make it easier for us to buy houses, hopefully, and we want to be ready for that and at least be able to recognize as it's happening quicker than when it actually happened, back in 2007. So that's one of the things. And I guess one takeaway from that is the media is starting to say, hey, the home prices are starting to, or home sales are dipping drastically across the nation. Well, they are. And if you take that headline, oh my gosh, we're at the bubble burst, right? But they don't say the reason why, which is, hey, the inventory is low. There's not as much to sell. So we need to use the media as our best friend when we're talking to sellers. 2 years ago, we'd walk into a seller's home, hey, my house is worth more than what Zillow says, because how good the market is. It's a great time to sell, all that kind of stuff. And now hopefully we'll get back to the point where we'll see the sellers saying, yeah, you really want to buy my house for cash? Okay, where do I sign?
Right. Yeah, those will be great days to get back to. Like I said, it's just a matter of being able to take advantage of it when it comes and figuring out where the cheese moves to. So keeping an eye on it.
Hey, Craig. Hey, thanks for joining us on this. You have been a valued member of Southside and our inner circle for a very, very long time, and I wanted to get you in on a podcast and just kind of share some of the things that make you tick and the successes that you had both before and after you joined us, and your contributions to the club. I wanted to kind of get that on the podcast. So thanks for being here and being a part of this today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for all of your help in the past 5 years for sure.
Yeah, man, it's been my pleasure to be a part of that and to help out, and pleasure to be your friend and all that kind of stuff. This has been another edition of the REI RockStar podcast with my buddy Craig Smith, rehab extraordinaire, amazing flipper person who does awesome renovations. If you ever get a chance to see one of his renovations, you do fantastic work. Thanks for your contributions, your friendship, and all that kind of stuff, guys. Again, today's program was powered by the Sewell Law Firm, Longhorn Financial, Graphic Connections, and Insight Title, and brought to you in part by the Southside Investment Club, where we talk about all things real estate and real estate investing. Come check us out at a meeting, the southsideinvestmentclub.com or SSIC online. And I keep forgetting to say this, but if you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I think we're up to 27 subscribers. I think it might be more than that. I don't know. I'm just being a little
couple more zeros, you'll be making money off that.
Exactly. There we go. So I forgot to do our segment on our Wall of Shame segment, but we're running out of time, so I'll make sure that I'll do the Wall of Shame segment on the next one. Thanks again, Craig. We'll see you soon.
See you, buddy. Have a good one.